Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian. It's Tuesday, February 18th. It's great having you with us. In finance news, the European Union's tax watch list no longer has the Bahamas listed as a non-cooperative jurisdiction for tax purposes. The Ministry of Finance revealed today that the European Union's Economic and Financial Affairs Council says the Bahamas has implemented the necessary reforms to meet the EU criteria on tax governance and cooperation. Acting Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest, speaking with reporters just before the weekly cabinet meeting, says it's a significant achievement for the Bahamas as the European Union's Economic and Financial Affairs Council has completely removed the Bahamas from its list of non-cooperative jurisdictions. Mr. Turnquest also expressing that the government is happy that the Bahamas has finally been able to demonstrate the country is cooperative and responsive to the international community and standards.
You know, we've been saying all along to the international community that we are partners in this overall fight of global terrorism financing, with anti-money laundering initiatives, and with the exchange of information for tax purposes. We want to be partners in this community of financial regulators. And as long as we have communication and we know what the expectations are, we know what the standards are, the Bahamas can and will rise to the occasion and meet the standard. And that's what we've demonstrated here today. Once we knew what the issues were, we dealt with them, and we dealt with them expeditiously.
Mr. Turnquest, in a press statement, acknowledged that coming off the list was not an easy process. Today, he says, as a premier financial services jurisdiction, the message the Bahamas wants to send is that it's fully committed to the overall well-being and regulation of the financial services industry.
We are a premier financial services jurisdiction, and we protect that jealously because we know what that means in terms of our GDP and our overall protection of our middle class in particular. So this is a very significant achievement. It will certainly bring confidence to the industry here in the Bahamas, as well as those financial service providers and clients that are looking at the Bahamas as a jurisdiction for the management of their wealth.
Over the last year and a half, the government, in its bid to be compliant and have the Bahamas moved from the EU's list, introduced and passed a suite of legislations.
The last bit of legislation we passed just 2 weeks ago with respect to collective investment vehicles and transparency around that and the management of that. And so we have met those standards and passed legislation, so we are completely compliant with all of the requirements that the OECD has put to us.
The finance minister added that his ministry engaged many stakeholders and executed a comprehensive strategy to defend the jurisdiction against recent attacks on the legitimacy of our financial services business, adding that the Bahamas has worked diligently to demonstrate its commitment to the highest political level to international standards and information exchange, tackling harmful tax practices and dismantling artificial tax structures. He thanked the staff, agencies, and industry stakeholders that worked to achieve this result. In other finance news, Grand Bahama's economy has had its struggle over the past decade or more, with severe hurricanes hitting the island causing major devastation. But things are beginning to slowly turn around for Grand Bahama's economy. Just last week, Carnival Cruise Line officials said they have doubled their initial $100 million investment in Grand Bahama Port. The finance minister says the government is looking forward to the investment in that port as it will help with the turnaround and rebuilding process in Grand Bahama.
As you know, we have had a significant catastrophic loss of investment in Grand Bahama, and this boost will help to bring confidence back to the residents of the island and to investors.
Mr. Turnquest says this investment, along with the hotel and the redevelopment of the airport, will be a tremendous stimulus to Grand Bahama and the Bahamas' economy overall. Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Senator Fred Mitchell says investigations by National Security Minister Marvin Dames concerning allegations of sexual crimes and bribery bribery outlined in a writ filed against Canadian fashion mogul Peter Nygaard isn't worth the paper it's written on. The PLP senator's response came yesterday as he defended the PLP members whose names appear in that writ, which he says made irrelevant claims about the party members. The lawsuit filed in the U.S. last week alleges that Laifiki resident Nygaard raped 10 women, including 9 Bahamians. It also claims that he bought police protection and political cover-up by paying law enforcement officials and government officials, and highlighted financial donations made by Mr. Nygaard to Progressive Liberal Party. Mr. Mitchell says his party has analyzed the writ and there is no connection between references to the PLP and the acts complained of, and the fact that the caption of a photograph in the writ makes a false identification of a former PLP parliamentarian shows the statement is loose with the truth. Mr. Mitchell's comments also follows a Free National Movement statement on the same issue. Mr. Mitchell's comments also follows a Free National Movement statement on the same. Mr. Mitchell, referring to an article published in the Tribune, contends that it's all propaganda, adding that the fact that the FNM issued a statement on the subject after it appeared in the local daily further convinces the party that they are behind the propaganda campaign. At the same time, Mr. Mitchell is urging PLP supporters to treat the report connecting allegations against Nygaard and the PLP with several grains of salt. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.